What is up, everybody, and welcome back to Lesser Athletes. My name is Chadwell, and today, like always, another interesting video for you here on the channel. Today's my early Survivor Series card predictions. When I'm recording this video, Survivor Series is happening, November 20th, something? No, around there. So it's about 2.5 months. It's around more, probably 2 and like a week or 2 away. Probably when you're seeing this is more to exactly 2 months. Ooh, recording in advance. So here's the thing. There are some hints to Survivor Series, what's going to happen, what's going to not happen, yada, yada, yada. There's been some rumors on what's going to happen, yada, yada, yada. I want to say, though, that this is a hard card to predict right now. Truthfully, I think that there is, I want to say, 2 matches I feel certain about when the other 3 are completely shots in the dark, and 1 honorable mention, because it screws over if he does it. I think this will be an interesting one to see how they do for the booking for this one. I think there's a lot of opportunities with champions. I think it makes a lot of sense for stuff. But do we see certain stuff happen? I don't know. I think that's the big problem with this card, is that it depends on so much with Bad Blood, with Crown Jewel, with all that being said. A rumored match that supposedly is in the works and going to happen is Gunther versus CM Punk for the World Heavyweight Championship. Now, there's a lot of question marks with this. I think that this is a rumored match, and it makes sense where we're going. Called out Gunther, wants to go against Gunther. I could see a way where Gunther does go against the CM Punk, entering Survivor Series. Something happens, maybe it's a new storyline with Punk that goes on after this because of this, where we're now entering the road to kind of WrestleMania once we hit Royal Rumble. The thing is, though, I do want to talk about, I could see a way where they do instead CM Punk, Drew McIntyre, and Gunther for this championship, and Gunther makes it out. I don't see a way we really see. It's kind of hard to see just CM Punk and Gunther without Drew McIntyre being in the picture, because Drew McIntyre screws over CM Punk, but that shouldn't happen because a feud is probably done with, or at least they'll be enemies for a little bit. I do think that CM Punk and Gunther is going to happen here. It's been a big rumor. It's probably going to happen. We're probably, like I just said, Punk's going to probably call him out. Gunther's going to accept. We have the match. We have this like little build up towards it. Not too big of a build up. And then I could see a way where Seth Rollins maybe comes back, all that stuff. But yeah, this one I think is going to be a for sure if they're already talking about it's going to happen. Up next, we have Nia Jax versus Charlotte Flair for the WWE Women's Championship. Here's the thing for this one. I think a Charlotte Flair and Nia Jax match has to happen if we are going to get a Tiffany Stratton cash in. Now, the biggest thing from this is that when does Charlotte Flair come back? Rumor has it that by November she'll be able to come back. She'll be good. She'll be get ready. The Queen versus Queen match will happen. If this doesn't happen here, I'm going to guess it's going to happen at Royal Rumble. That is my prediction. And then at Royal Rumble, we see a Tiffany Stratton cash in instead. But I'd rather them say they don't do this at Royal Rumble so that we know who the women's match is really going to go against for the future. But we'll have to see. I think this makes the most sense if we're entering a road to WrestleMania where they're going to win and build some storylines up and build these two going against each other. So I do think that this match happens here. I'm also recording this before the September 13th episode of SmackDown. So I don't know, does Nia Jax and Bayley happen, and then that's when we see Tiffany Stratton cash in with Nia Jax? I don't think so. I think that's going to they're going to wait for that, but I do want to have Nia Jax and Charlotte Flair on here because I think this is a for certain kind of match that makes a lot of sense if you're wanting to set up Tiffany Stratton and Nia Jax, potentially even Tiffany Stratton versus Charlotte Flair for WrestleMania. I'm telling you right now, it's probably going to be Nia Jax losing to Charlotte Flair, and then Tiffany Stratton cashes in and wins it off Charlotte Flair. Nia Jax probably loses because Tiffany Stratton tries to cash. Now, I do want to mention the honorable mention because before we go into our next ones, it's the reason why I have 5 on this PLE, because usually PLEs will have 5. This is going to have 5 here, especially with 2 War Games matches. It is hard for me to not see Cody Rhodes on this card, and I have an honorable mention because it's going to spoil something for the future. But Cody Rhodes should have a match on here. And if so, who would it be? I've seen a lot of people think it's going to be Randy Orton the same way he did Kevin Owens. And then if I think that makes a lot of sense, because then it could be, some build up that Randy lost to Cody, a heel turn happens, then we have WrestleMania 41, Randy Orton versus Cody Rhodes. I think that makes a ton of sense. A ton of sense. I want to say Kevin Owens here because he is from Canada. It'd be interesting to see if they have a babyface Kevin Owens that turns heel there or turns heel. And then we see babyface Cody Rhodes with a heel Kevin Owens in his country. See what happens. That's an interesting one. It'll be same thing with like Randy Orton and Gunther. I think they're both interesting, but it's the reason why this card's so difficult to me, because I think this makes tons of sense. I think it makes more sense than what I'm going to say later on, but I just can't see it. I just don't think it's going to happen because I'd rather see the one thing that's more likely to happen in a way. I know I keep saying that I think this is more likely than the other, then also the other one's more likely. I feel like this makes sense, but there's something missing in the other one that it makes more sense for this to happen there. So we'll have to see. We will have to see. My third match before the War Games is LA Knight versus Carmelo Hayes versus Andrade for the U.S. Championship. Now, I want to say this one's a very interesting one. I think they don't do it at Bad Blood. I think they could do it at Crown Jewel. I think Crown Jewel makes a lot of sense for them to do this kind of match. Does something happen and maybe Braun Breaker gets a match instead at Vancouver rather than LA Knight for maybe Bronson Reed? I'm going to throw that out there because that's somebody I was going to put on here. I don't know. I'm just saying that the build-off maybe pays up to here, or we see a really big U.S. title match with a fatal four-way. Something like that's going to happen, and it happens here. I just put LA Knight on this card because it makes a lot of sense, but does it? I don't know. I think there's a lot of possibilities, but I could see LA Knight be on this card, and I think this is the most likely if you're looking at LA Knight on this card, but I could see him going to Crown Jewel instead, and then we see Braun Breaker again on here. Braun Breaker goes against Bronson Reed, for example, or something like that, or Braun Strowman, for example, something like that. I don't know. I just think it makes more sense when you're looking at that. Now let's go with the actual War Games, and we're going to start off with Team Rhea Ripley versus Team Liv Morgan. I don't know who's going to be the championship when we come down to this. I don't know who's going to be whatever, but I can tell you this. There's a lot of options to choose from, and there's a lot of possibilities if we do this. I think, of course, when you're looking at this, you're going to be looking at the Raw women's side. I could see people from SmackDown joining in sides, but I think it makes more sense for a Raw side. So let's go through it. First off, let me say this. I think this makes the most sense. There's a lot of question marks on the women's side for War Games, in my opinion. I could see them going Raw versus SmackDown, but I'd rather them just say Team Rhea Ripley versus Team Liv Morgan and one of the best women's feuds going on right now. Now let's look at the teams. I think with baby faces, Zelina Vega makes a lot of sense. I think 5 is where they're going to look for a team. 5 makes a lot of sense. Zelina Vega makes a lot of sense to go against Liv Morgan with the beef with her and Dom and her and Liv Morgan and blaming Dom for screwing over Liv Morgan in a title defense. She also went against Rhea Ripley, so it's kind of iffy there. Natalya makes a lot of sense because it's in Canada. I could see her, being a top babyface to really help the talent and everything like that and join in as a babyface. Now let's talk about the other ones. I think are going to be the leaders. If they decide to just do 4, then I could see it just being Damage Control and Rhea Ripley versus, we'll talk about them later. Because I think Dakota Kai, I think Io Sky, I think Kairi Sane, and I think Asuka. Those are the 4, okay, with a Rhea Ripley. There's 5 right there. I think that's a big possibility. I didn't add everyone in the graphic because I didn't want to overflow. It's just throwing out people. I think that's a main 5 that could happen, but I feel like you'd be leaving out, Zelina Vega, who I think could really help. Natalya being in Canada. Lyra Valkyria is somebody that I think they push to the main roster because she is going to be a star in the future. Give her some stepping stones like this. It makes a lot of sense to have somebody young be a part of a huge Survivor Series to kind of get her foot in the water for stuff like this. So I do want to throw her into here. Now you look at Team Liv Morgan. Let's first talk about Pure Fusion Collective. I think that's going to be the main people that she's teaming up with. And then from there, there's one more. And I think Ivy Nile could be in there if Raquel Rodriguez cannot perform yet. I don't if she cannot come back yet. I understand. I throw in Ivy Nile to be like the buff muscles in there, but could see a Chad Gable not wanting her to do it, so it'd be a huge storyline with that. Raquel Rodriguez though could come back by bloodline but not bloodline, bad blood, and just be the X factor in this whole kind of feud and really screw over Rhea Ripley. I think that's a huge possibility in my opinion. We could see Raquel Rodriguez joining Judgment Day, even joining Team Liv, and now it's them two plus Pure Fusion Collective going against, what is it called? Damage Control and Rhea Ripley. Tell me that's not a match made in heaven for the 5-on-5 for a women's War Games. Think that makes a lot of sense, but do you want to say it's more just heels on Raw and the baby faces on Raw? I could see them going away where it's like last year's War Games and the baby faces of each kind of individuals come together to win, rather than a team plus one plus a team plus two or something like that. But I do think that we're going to get Team Rhea Ripley versus Team Liv Morgan. Now, this is why I cannot have Cody Rhodes having a match. I think we're going to get Team OG Bloodline versus Team New Bloodline. I think it's going to consist of Roman Reigns being the main person, bringing the team together. Jay and Jimmy Uso joining. Maybe this is why Jay and Sammy have been so close, so then Sammy can join them. Then there's one man out. And I think it's going to be Cody Rhodes. I think he's had beef with this whole bloodline story for a reason, and that's going to be to help the OG bloodline win. I think that could be why Randy and KO get pissed off at him, because the bloodline screwed him over. And Randy says that, and Randy says, you're teaming with the people that took me out for 18 months. And he goes, it's the right thing to do. And then there's a feud and everything goes on. Hold up now. Let me cook. Okay, I think that makes a lot of sense. So I do think that Cody Rhodes joins in on with the OG Bloodline, going against the new Bloodline, which will consist of, the Tama Tonga, the Tongaloa, the infamous one, Jacob Fatu, which there's a huge point that a lot of people think that Jacob Fatu could turn on Solo Sikoa. We'll see. I think The Rock does get involved at Survivor Series, though, and comes back and really wreaks havoc to set up Royal Rumble. And then Hikuleo. Hikuleo. I said Hikuleo because I was thinking of Tala. There's a trademark for Tala Tonga, probably going to be Hikuleo's new name. He has been signed with WWE, I guess, for a little bit now. I could see him debuting September 13th on SmackDown. Again, I am recording before this happens on there. We'll have to see. I think that makes a lot of sense because that will be the 5. And so you need 5 on the other side, and I think this just makes a lot of sense for the OG Bloodline. There's nobody else that could really join in my opinion. I think it's really just these guys. These are the Bloodline people, and I think it will be a climax of OG Bloodline versus New Bloodline for Bloodline War Games, and then it will be, The Rock will get involved, and then we'll start seeing some big setups. But if they do this, I have another prediction I want to say. I think the New Bloodline wins. And the reason why I say this is because they're going to need them to look strong and look like they cannot be beaten. They have to win this match. I know you have the champ. I know you have everybody else. They have to win this match. I even want Solo Sikoa to pin Roman Reigns. Because if they do that, then that sets up Roman Reigns as a babyface that needs to climb this mountain, that he's coming back for his throne. It's just going to take time. He's just going to need to build it up. Something like that happen. I could see maybe it's Jacob Fatu pinning Roman Reigns. Something like that. Will it kill Roman Reigns getting pinned? I don't think so. It could certify Solo in a way and really make this New Bloodline look a little OP. We'll have to see. But that is it for my Survivor Series predictions. Let me know what you think down in the comments below. I will see you in the next one. Goodbye.